So if you're thinking pet costumes are still just, a simple hat or a little bandana,
Yeah.
you might need to recalibrate.
Oh, absolutely. We're way beyond that now. This has become a really sophisticated, competitive world. It's like performance art.
It's performance art, it's structural engineering, it's even deep cultural commentary.
Right. And for you listening, we've gone through all the source material articles on the big competitions, profiles on these artisan crafters, even engineering breakdowns to figure out what makes a costume truly outrageous.
So that's our mission today. We're going to distill those ultimate examples. And what we found is that to win at these huge events, like, say, the 25th annual Great Pumpkin Dog Costume Contest.
A huge one.
Yeah, a costume has to master three really demanding criteria.
We can break it down pretty simply.
Yeah.
First, there's the technical complexity, the actual craftsmanship.
Okay.
Second is cultural nuance. The joke has to be smart. It needs a shared understanding to really land.
Right, the audience has to be in on it.
Yeah.
And the third,
Visual synergy. It has to just look perfect. Arresting.
right.
It often uses the pet's own features to its advantage.
Okay, let's unpack that. I think we have to start with the costume that just completely nailed that cultural nuance piece.
And scale distortion. You're talking about Gertrude the Chihuahua.
Gertrude the Chihuahua.
So Gertrude is an 18-year-old Chihuahua. She won the 2023 Great Pumpkin Contest.
And what was she?
She was a perfect, tiny replica of David Byrne's giant gray suit from the Talking Heads movie, Stop Making Sense.
It's pure high concept art on this tiny, tiny canvas.
And it's an intellectual joke, right? You have to know your 80s new wave cinema to get it.
The owner, Christina O'Toole, she said she was inspired by something David Byrne himself said about the suit.
Yeah, that in the theater, everything should be a little bit bigger than real life.
So she took that idea, bigger than real life, and applied it to the smallest dog imaginable.
And that's the whole joke. The clash of scale is where the hilarity comes from.
But the genius here isn't just the idea, it's technical. I mean, anyone who's trying to put a sweater on a dog knows how hard it is to get a good fit. How did she get that rigid, oversized look on a tiny, moving dog?
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. This is what elevates it.
Yeah.
To get that perfect, floating head look, she didn't use a dog pattern. She bought a toddler suit.
A toddler suit. That's brilliant. That's a great shortcut for scale.
It is. But the real secret, the engineering feat, was how she made it stable. Get this. She put a lunchbox inside the suit.
A lunchbox.
A lunchbox.
Yeah.
It acted as a rigid platform. So no matter how Gertrude moved, her little head just popped out, perfectly centered. It kept the whole structure in place.
Wow. And the owner even wore a lampshade on her head to complete the reference.
Total commitment.
That's the difference between just a funny outfit and real competitive art. And the payoff, that cultural nuance, was huge. The sources said when the judges hesitated, the crowd just erupted.
They started chanting, "David Byrne! David Byrne!"
Because they got it. The entire success was built on that shared cultural literacy.
And that's what makes these things go viral. It's like an intellectual puzzle the audience solves together.
Okay, so let's pivot completely. From all that technical tailoring of the big suit.
The radical simplicity.
Exactly.
Right.
Let's talk about Keki the Puli dog, the mop dog.
Keki won the Mainstrasse Parade in Kentucky, and it proves you don't always need complex construction. Sometimes the most outrageous thing is just leaning into what's already there.
Yeah. The Hungarian Puli breed with that long, corded fur.
It's a natural phenotype that looks almost exactly like a mop head. It's uncanny.
I love that. The highest form of costume success is the dog just existing.
The visual synergy is 100%. The whole concept is called phenotype exploitation. They just added a bucket or a handle. The dog is the joke.
It's the ultimate visual pun.
Mm-hmm.
And what's so great is the simplicity actually makes people think more. We saw online comments where people were asking, half joking, are you sure the mop isn't pretending to be a dog?
Right, and that confusion is the whole point. It's the biggest compliment you could give.
So it's the anti-Gertrude. Gertrude needed a complex internal structure, the lunchbox, to look simple.
And Keki needed no internal structure at all.
So if some artisans are focused on these minute, detailed things, where does that craftsmanship scale up to? Like massive structural illusions.
Now you're talking about real engineering.
Yeah, stuff that's more than just fabric.
Absolutely. For that, we have to talk about the all-time favorite of structural costumes, the Star Wars AT-AT Walker.
The dog as an Imperial war machine, it's just fantastic. But it must be a nightmare to build structurally.
It's a total mechanical illusion. You're turning a fluid, four-legged animal into a rigid, colossal tank.
The biggest challenge has to be the movement, right? A
Right.
dog doesn't walk like an AT-AT.
Exactly. The sources really highlight that. A dog's legs move diagonally, and AT-AT's legs are slow, deliberate, so the frame has to be rigid, but also lightweight enough that the dog's natural walk gets translated into that heavy, lumbering march from the movie.
So how do these, I mean, we have to call them engineers at this point.
Right.
How do they manage the weight and the balance to get that effect?
The frame is usually something light, like PVC or foam board, but it's designed to completely hide the dog's body. The key is using the dog's shoulder height to place the center of gravity just right. It makes the legs look impossibly long.
So when the dog just takes a normal step.
The sheer mass of the frame slows down how we perceive the movement. It creates the illusion of this massive armored thing moving forward.
That hidden mechanical work is what makes it a masterpiece. Which brings us to probably the most technically complex form of all, artisan armor.
This is a really deep niche, but it's where you see just immense technical complexity. There's a Canadian artist, Jeff DeBoer.
Oh, I've seen his work.
He creates museum-quality, historically accurate armor for cats and mice, using real materials, nickel, steel, brass.
For cats and mice, it's incredible.
He says a full suit of, say, Renaissance or samurai armor for a cat can take anywhere from 50 to 200 hours.
50 to 200 hours. That's not a costume, that's an art piece.
It really is. And this niche just exploded into global view with the story of Lucky the guinea pig.
Right, Lucky the Knight.
Lucky wore a miniature, fully functional suit of chainmail. The creator said he was inspired by the Daft Punk song Get Lucky. He thought, we have to protect him.
And this wasn't just decorative.
No, not at all. It was made with over 1,000 tiny aluminum rings in a real historical weave, a European 8-in-1 pattern.
The juxtaposition of that intense historical craftsmanship on a tiny little guinea pig. It's no wonder it went viral. The outrageousness is all in the contrast.
But then the story takes a turn. Tragically, Lucky passed away about a week after the photo shoot. But his owner decided to turn it into something positive. He auctioned the armor on eBay for the Metropolitan Guinea Pig Rescue.
And the bidding went crazy. Didn't it hit something like $24,000?
It did. The initial bid was $24,300. It's just insane. It shows you the power of this kind of high-concept absurdity to grab attention.
So what happened with the auction?
Well, those high bidders ended up reneging, which happens. But the publicity it generated was still a massive, life-changing win for the rescue.
Right, the media coverage alone.
Exactly. The sources confirmed they got so many donations from all over the country because of the story that it basically secured their financial future. That tiny sting of armor became a tool for animal welfare.
That's a pretty amazing legacy. And, that level of craftsmanship, 200 hours for a cat, 1,000 rings for a guinea pig, that used to be so exclusive. But it's changing.
It's changing fast thanks to digital fabrication.
3D printing.
Exactly. It's fueling this very specific aesthetic we've started calling feline militarism.
Feline militarism. I love that. Tell me more.
It's basically the democratization of this high-level craft. People are using 3D printers to make complex, rigid cat armor from STL files they find online.
So things like gladiator helmets?
Gladiator helmets, those funny Hulk muscle cat arms.
Yeah.
Things that would have been impossible to make by hand for most people. Now you can just print them.
It's the aesthetic of this high-fidelity, aggressive weaponry on an animal that is typically aloof.
Precisely. The cat already thinks it's an apex predator. The armor just confirms it.
And the final piece of the visual synergy is the cat's attitude.
Yes. The fact that the cat looks completely unimpressed while wearing a Spartan helmet, that is the entire joke.
But, all this talk of rigid frames, complex armor, it brings up a really critical point. As the complexity goes up, so does the ethical responsibility.
It has to. It's absolutely non-negotiable. We have to talk about ethical sophistication.
What the sources really emphasize is that as these costumes get more elaborate, the obligation to prioritize the animal's welfare over, getting a viral photo, it just increases exponentially.
And it matters because a stressful costume can actually be dangerous, especially for small animals.
Yeah. For something like a guinea pig, the stress of a photo shoot could predispose them to a really serious condition called gastrointestinal stasis, GIS.
GIS is essentially when their digestive system just shuts down from stress. It can happen quickly and it can be fatal. So safety isn't a suggestion, it's a life or death thing.
The goal has to be comfort, not just tolerance.
Right.
So let's run through the absolute non-negotiables that the experts point to. First up is mobility and weight.
The costume has to be lightweight. It cannot restrict movement. The pet has to be able to run, jump, use the bathroom, all of it.
Second, the fit, especially around the neck.
The two-finger rule. You should always be able to fit two fingers comfortably between the costume or collar and the pet's neck.
Good rule of thumb. Third is senses. Any kind of headpiece.
A Demogorgon mask, minions, goggles, whatever. It cannot cover the pet's eyes, ears, or mouth. They need to see, hear, and breathe freely to avoid panic.
And finally, materials. This one's huge.
It is. Avoid anything small and chewable. The sources are very clear. No buttons, no rhinestones, no sequins, no glitter. They are all choking hazards.
So stick to fabric embellishments.
Yeah.
Velcro, things like that.
Yeah. And the ability to follow all these safety rules while still creating something visually brilliant. That's the new benchmark. You have to marry the engineering with the ethics.
So what does this all mean then? I mean, our journey here really confirms that pet costuming has become this intense intersection of engineering, cultural knowledge, and ethical responsibility.
Mm-hmm. The best ones. Gertrude's big suit, Keki the mop dog, the AT-AT walker. They master one of those key areas. Cultural intelligence, technical mastery, or pure phenotype exploitation.
But all of them are built on that mandatory foundation of ethical compliance.
Absolutely. And the sources show this isn't frivolous. It's a reflection of the owner's interests, their humor, whether it's 80s cinema or historical armor.
So the ultimate achievement is creating something that's, visually shocking, intellectually engaging, but also completely safe for the animal.
Which leads us to our final thought.
Next time you see a pet in some wild, outlandish outfit, don't just laugh. Ask yourself, is this an intellectual joke that I'm supposed to get? Or is it just a costume? And, maybe more importantly, how do they solve the engineering problem?